distractions. You want to go first, Kieran?
Sure. Intentions. Yeah, I mean, I think in addition to the retrospective, I really want to make sure that people have read that project's overview doc that I sent out earlier this week, and that we can actually get going. So we can start to detail out what we want to do, prioritize and detail out what we want to do on those. So um, that's one thing. It's just like figuring out what those next steps are. Distractions, not a lot. Yeah. I will pass to Marathon Mind.
Hey, thanks, Gideon. My intentions catch up with all the updates. I was not here for a week, so yeah, a lot of things to catch up with, and distractions none. I'll pass it to Nate.
Yeah, thanks, Marathon Man. My intentions are to kind of discuss some of the longer term goals with the project prospectus that Gideon had put together. I think it's a very interesting document to really review and discuss. Distractions currently it's just morning, and yeah, nothing. So I'll pass it over to Joseph.
Yeah, intentions is just to yeah, just be present for the meeting, find out you know, what's going to be handed out in terms of projects. Distractions, none. I will pass it to Juan.
Thanks. My intention is just to sync with what's happening in the TEC. And my distraction is that I have to jump in 20 minutes. And I'll pass it to Bear. You go.
Yeah, thank you, Juanca. Yeah, intentions for me also just go through the agenda items. I wasn't able to make the last call, so I will also want to catch up on whatever was discussed. And yeah, no current distractions at the moment. Just a little bit tired, maybe. I'll pass it on to Maggie Z. I don't know if you went already.
Yes, Makizi. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, my intention for the call is actually to listen in and see what's going on. So I really don't have any distraction right now. So that's that from my side. I'll pass it on back to, I think everyone has gone, so I don't know where to pass it to.
That's fine. I can take it. Okay, it's my turn. Intentions. Just go through our meeting today and chat about both the projects and also the retrospective, which I like the last one we had, so I look forward to doing it again. Distractions. Nothing at the moment. I've been a bit sick throughout the week. Feeling a bit better, but I'm still there. Cool. Okay. Let me then ask if anyone has any quick updates for any work. Something just fast and quick, and if not, we'll move over to the project document. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Cool. So we can jump straight to the project prospectus. I don't know if you want to share your screen, Gideon, and take it yourself, or if you want me to open it and go through it.
Yeah, hold on just one sec. Let me get to the document.
Okay.
Come on. Let's see. Okay. Okay, people can see that? You can see that okay? So,
Yep.
the let me just ask this. I'm trying to decide what level. I don't think it makes sense to review all of this stuff because that's why it's in a document. I think that I think maybe the best thing to do would be to maybe just talk about at least my thinking about priorities of focus and timing. And actually, I'm going to share the link in here one more time. I'll share it in the chat. So if anybody wants to actually dive into the document, you can do that directly. I think that priority-wise, basically this TEC public goods funding is the first thing. So it basically includes wrapping up the first round of our grants, the ALLO protocol, our first round, and capturing the lessons from that. And then the next phase of this is basically it's just like, okay, taking our lessons, what do we want to do next time? And I've actually made a proposal here for how we structure that going forward, how we think about it. And then the other piece of it, so it's kind of like an internal document and an external document. The external document would basically summarize what we're doing with the grants program, how that affects conviction voting, how these two relate to each, not conviction voting. Well, we would explain what's happened with conviction voting, summarize that, and then talk about down voting and how we envision that being used, which is very rarely. And that most of, the vast majority of our public goods funding would be through the grant program. So the idea here is that there would be basically probably 4 outcomes here for projects in a way. One is whatever we need to do that's remaining from the grants round. All the wrap up on that's in Notion already. 2 is some type of public document that explains what we're doing. 3 is kind of like an internal strategy, that is something that we share with each other just to kind of document here's what our thinking is. And that may be the same as 4, but it's kind of here's what our thinking is and here's what we want to do with the next 2 rounds and specifically where we need to invest. So I'm thinking that this is the top priority right now, just to capture things while they're fresh, and we have to, we should build on the momentum while we have it. The other ones, I think, the fundraising one is also very important, and I'm making progress on that. I'll probably be signing the agreement with General Magic tomorrow. I just have a question that came up. So that we'll be basically outsourcing a lot of our grant writing to them. I'll be working with them on an ongoing basis. But that's not something that's going to involve the full team, at least at this point. The events thing, still got to talk to Angela. We were not able to cover that in our call today. So on Monday, we're going to talk that through. I'm going to get a rough idea from her, and then maybe we just set up a brainstorming call with whoever's interested to talk about if it looks like there is something there, to detail what that actually looks like. The reputation thing, I think, is a longer term play. The kind of the bigger version of it, and there's definitely aspects of it that Livia and Griff are actively thinking about and trying to pull together. I think they're seeing this kind of getting reputation into our governance as something that we could do relatively soon, in the next few months. So that's a conversation that we need to have at a community level, I think, like what that looks like. But between now and then, there are definitely some concrete things that we can do to start laying some of the groundwork, like Otter Space badges for the stakeholder research study group. And then Nate, I think this is one of the things that would be good to talk about, is whether there's something in curation that might be able to plug into that over the next couple of months. So as you can see, basically it's the top priority is this first one. And then I would say that really the next priority is fundraising, but that doesn't really affect the team. So, and then I think the events thing could be the next priority. It's just that we've got to clarify a few things. So I think in practice, what this means is making some traction on the first set of, is the first goal, I guess, and then jumping down into the reputation thing and seeing if there's some things that we can do over the next couple of weeks to move that forward. That's my going in assumption, but I'll stop here and open it up for comments and questions and whatever else.
So yeah, the one thing I just wanted to kind of get a better idea from was the TE events section that you have. What exactly are we considering these types of events? Is this more just like help schedule like hackathons, or like I'm just kind of just trying to get a picture of what exactly the types of events that would be interesting for the Token Engineering Academy and TEC, or what we can kind of brainstorm on, or what areas, like what is the intended goal for these?
Yeah, it's a fair question. I will tell you that, like I said, this is more just a rough idea from Angela. She's like feeling like these are things that they want to do more of, but they don't have the resources to do it. And then we haven't been able to talk in detail about like what exactly. She's been gone for the past week and a half, but she's back now. What she did say early on is that at a high level, one of the things that the Academy is wrestling with is that, you have all these students that are coming out of fundamentals, and they're not quite ready to like get a job, right? And jobs are not flooding to them, and so these one of the goals of these types of events is to help bridge students with practitioners, people who are in the field doing the work. So I think that she's envisioning right now from what I understand, two types of events. One is where somebody from the field comes in and either as an individual speaker or as part of a panel, and they run some events for the community. And it's basically just kind of like I don't know if it's AMA style or whatever style, but it's some type of event where it's more of like a learning event. That's one category. And then the other category is that in the past, the Academy has done hackathons. And so that's another area that she's interested in investing in. And the last thing I'd say on this is that I think that what she's seeing from the AI research and the work that they're doing is that there are probably lots of ways to support that effort with hackathons. And so one of my goals is over the next week or two to have her come in and walk you guys through what she and Rohan have discovered so far on the AI front. It's pretty freaking cool. And so that is one of my goals, is to do that. I would say that she sees the potential to actually run some hackathons that actually use some of the GPT stuff to do some tests, particularly around areas like token launch. It's like an application area. But beyond that, I don't know. So this is, like I said, this is part of what we've got to talk about. Any other questions or comments?
I have one question on the reputation commons. So is this going to somehow be linked to what also was stated during the Prismageddon, or is this going to be a new data set for this reputation token?
I think that, you know, it seems like there's a lot of, like, I think most of the people on this call, except you, Juan, and Nate, missed all of that, probably happily missed all of that. And so it seems like kind of a politically charged thing, but I think that from talking to Griff and Livia, it does seem like there's a lot of good data there, and that you know, when we're looking at praise data as like one source for the reputation, we should definitely be looking at that data too. Those are all like people who made good contributions that were critical to the launch. So, but I must admit, Juanca, that I wasn't here then, so I just don't know all the details of like of what happened there and everything. But it does seem like I know that's one of the data sets that we're considering.
Okay, yeah, super cool. I just think it's nice to be considered as one of the data sets, also because at that point we ran a votation, and the vote was passed, and we talked about further development, but there was it. And yeah, it's just that it somehow was a foundational thing during the hatch. So it's just to like not let any loose ends, but to make a full circle out of all of the things that have happened from that moment to this point.
Yeah, I was just adding a note in the document for that. Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, and maybe Marathon Mind has some comments on the reputation comments as well. But I guess my big thing is that, you know, focusing on the token engineering expertise aspect of it is really kind of the hard part to develop in terms of like how we go about it. I know that a lot of people have discussed, you know, utilizing multiple tools for, you know, outer space badges, praise, kind of this many tools to kind of develop this comprehensive reputation system around token engineering. But are there any, like, what would be the kind of connection point between our priorities in terms of helping out with this product, or this commons, and what is currently being developed? Like, where would we start with helping in this realm?
This is what we've got to figure out. That's why that's the one. The rest of them, I think we can pretty easily crank out some like simple project plans and just like detail out what this is going to look like. The reputation one is something that I think so to answer your question, Livia and Griff are taking the lead at Common Stack on reputation, and are very eager to help us out with this. I think that Yeah, it's going to become an increasingly urgent issue as the value of the AI thing starts to become clear. There are a lot of reasons we don't need to go into right now, but I think that so they're definitely motivated. They're definitely willing to invest resources and time in helping out. But yeah, we've got to figure out exactly what we want, right? And so that's going to take a little bit of, that's going to take some thinking. And I personally am of the opinion that we're probably better off doing this in phases, like thinking holistically about how this would roll out, but rather than trying to do all forms of reputation at once, we're probably better off starting with some of the simple stuff, low-hanging stuff, and then leaving some of the more complex things like reputation staking and things like that. When it comes to I endorse so-and-so because I've worked with them, those kinds of things are much tougher than the kinds of knowledge proofs that the Academy has right now, or even praise. So yeah, I think it's going to be a multi-step process, and I think we need a plan.
Yep. Regarding the reputation, something I've been exploring is the attestation service. So there have been talks that we'll be switching over to Optimism, and so Optimism should be a good place where they have this attestation service. And what they have done recently in the last week is they have changed their standards, which will match Ethereum attestation service. So although I'm not sure of the technicalities of that's something we're exploring, and I could come up with something, and then maybe we could add that as well.
Yeah, and I suppose that because we have been doing a lot of stuff, and Marathon Mind has put together some really good documentation around reputation and the different principles. And right now we're engaging with a bunch of reputation projects in this space. And I think this could be a really good opportunity, not only to, because mostly we're focused on onboarding them into the curation service, but another part of that is to start talking about these types of standards approaches, and maybe CommonSec could participate in that, but I just think this is part of a kind of a coordination effort that we can get on board with other reputation projects to try to develop kind of a pilot for reputation for a large ecosystem or community, to have reputation that's actually useful and effective in terms of their applications and how it's distributed. So yeah, I think there are a lot of really good potential ideas that could be started from this. But I think the big part of it is just making sure that everybody's on the same page. I don't want to be doing anything that's kind of undercutting what Livy and Griff are doing over at Common Stack, and so maybe we could all get together and discuss that further.
Meanwhile, I also spoke to Kyle. I think he's the executive director for Gitcoin. So they're also figuring out some use case for attestation service and Gitcoin passport. So I was telling them we are doing something. We are trying to come up with a reputation system for TE and TEC, and said, so he said once we have something unfolding, he'll come in and see what insights he could give us also. So yeah, that's another update.
Just I guess very quickly before moving on to the next topic. The thing I'm most worried about is that it seems to me that one of the blessings, but also one of the things that didn't went so good with the TC was that it was over designed, I guess. And then when we faced the truth, a lot of the assumptions changed, and there was little to no room to iterate. Like, I was in One Hive when they were developing the commons, and a bunch of developers from One Hive put a lot of time on this. I'm kind of aware of the workload. There was a lot of work made, and then now we have no developers left or any kind of budget for that, and there's a bunch of things changing. So I would just hope that we take this opportunity to redeploy to make everything that's really simple and that we can iterate upon with time instead of something that's sort of overly complicated and with heavy theory but not real not real no prior demonstrations of that working. I don't know if that makes sense. And that's why I speak to the comment I left of having probably just a single token to start with different ways to mint it, whatever. That's a conversation that I think we should have, and then that I want to have. But overall, I just think that that's important that we try not to redeploy with 1,000 things that when we cannot even handle simple stuff right now.
I think that the next best bet for this is to just convene like a brainstorming session. I mean, a structured brainstorming session where Libby and Griff can kind of share what they're thinking, and we can all weigh in. Because, as we move off of gardens, and as we move over to optimism, there's going to be a lot of opportunities to simplify and change things. One of the things that's built in is into Aragon is I have seen the UI, but I've never used it myself. But there's basically a way to kind of blend tokens with DAO voting. So you can blend the power of reputation with the power of the actual of like utility token. So I think that there's already been some good thinking that those guys have done on this front. So I think it'd be good to just hear them out and just set up a call to do that. So I've got that on the document, like the next step. But there's some other things I think we could be doing too, like with the Otter Space thing. I guess let me just if there are any other questions or comments, high level ones, let's take those now. And then what I'd love to do is try to like move this into getting some owners on this stuff. Are there any other questions or comments that are remaining?
Not to the project specifically. I would just suggest that we do more scoping for the projects before finding owners, and
I would agree with the reputation one for sure, and the events one, and the fundraising one I'm already doing. I'm really just talking about the top one at this point. And specifically, what I mean by that is we need somebody. I think we need somebody to own the. I think it's basically going to be a post in the forum that will summarize, and maybe that basically gets replicated in the TEC handbook, because it needs to be someplace where we can point people to very easily and very clearly. So it has to be like very succinct and well written document that just outlines like here's what the new process is. So that's one thing. I think we need an owner for that. I think we need an owner for. Well, clearly, there's the wrap up of the current round, and I mean that's something that you're owning, Isaac, right? And so then the other piece would be figuring out what our plans are for future rounds. And I'm kind of assuming, Isaac, that you would own that, but we haven't talked about that, whether that's what you want to do.
Yeah, ideally we would put all that down to the backlog, and then on planning we find whoever wants to actually do the tasks. Because for example, I think write-ups Nate is doing, and what's more like process-ish I do for the most part. But that's probably best if we do on planning.
you're saying don't, even at the high level, don't assign somebody to like these higher level projects until we just need somebody to actually detail. At this point, I need to move on. I can provide like advice on some of this, but there's so many other things that I'm kind of, I'm a roadblock on the merger and the AI stuff. So I need to hand off some of this stuff. So what do you recommend as next steps for that? I mean, one thing we could do, it seems like the easiest thing is just find somebody. Nate, I don't know if you're willing or have the time to take on the drafting what our policy is, or if there's anybody else who's got the time and desire to do that. Bear, I don't know.
Policy in terms of a particular section of this document, or
No,
like
I'm saying,
implementation, or-
yeah, I'm saying this first piece here, right? Which is going forward, here's how the TEC does its public goods funding. It's like
Oh, yeah.
almost all goes through the grants program. And, you
Yep.
know, here's, we've got top voting, and then there's, but that's, that's the thing we need to articulate very clearly.
Yeah, just to make it more official. Yeah, because I do. Yeah, there are a lot of projects who are interested in getting, wanting to do direct funding, and I guess the moving forward, we can say the one thing that a lot of them are like, they want to do maybe a TAL vote or interested in TAL vote, but it's communicating to them that you're upfronting 200 TEC to make a proposal, and then it's not going to be highly likely that it's ever going to pass. And so we're going to be focusing on these grant rounds as the main distribution method for the TEC common pool, and that if they're interested, we'll have those types of, and in terms of the policy that we want to have developed, do we have a set amount of times a year that we want to do it? I know that you mentioned maybe we do it quarterly or 3 times a year. But I think the kind of details on that should be kind of clarified, and I don't know if that's something that we should just discuss, or should I just go ahead and
what I would say, what I would say is if you're willing to take this on, then do a draft based on some of the stuff I've outlined here. If you disagree, put this what your counter would be, and then let's just get some feedback on it. Right, just do advice process, typical advice process, and then post it. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's partially what you're doing is communicating just very clearly what our policy is, and then partially you're figuring out a little bit what it is. Like, here's how many we would do a year. This is what the budgeting impact would be. And so it's going to take a little bit of iterating with a small team, but I think this isn't going to be a huge project.
Yep, that sounds good. I can take that.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. So Isaac, I think at this point, those were the main things. And then like next Monday, I'll try to figure out more details, get more details on the events stuff. What do you want to do with things like on the reputation? There's this, there's some specific things that we can be doing to move that forward. I guess this is the part that I'm still not clear on this new process, what this looks like exactly, in terms of my role in handing these off. How are you envisioning it?
So what I'm thinking we can do, I've already put all, or at least most of the projects to Notion. They are not like fully detailed or whatever. I can work on details for the projects, run them back to you just to check that they meet your criteria, and then we just start adding tasks for the projects. Whether technically can be anyone, but ideally most of the tasks would have to run by you, just to be able to have a sense of the priority that you think the broader set of stakeholders have, and then just assign the tasks. So for instance, this one task about the report, I would probably just later put it under the project and assign it to Nate and put it for the next sprint and things like that. So yeah, something like that. I don't think yeah. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think it does. So just to make a concrete example, stakeholder research or stakeholder study group, research study group, basically has asked us for some help in distributing OtterSpace badges to the study participants. So like that would be an example of a task. And you're saying you would include that into the project as one of the tasks, and we would just figure out over this next week or so who is willing to drive that. Is that correct?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So I think I'm done at this point, unless anybody else has anything else they want to add to this. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Back to you, Isaac.
Okay, cool. Let me 1 second. Let me share screen again. Okay, please let me know if you can see it. I'll take it as a yes. Okay. So now I'll just very quickly go through the task view. See if we can, I guess, say that we have officially closed the sprint, or if there's anything that we have to move over. This is going to be very quick. Give it a look. Pretty much. In progress. I have a blocker for the matching boost till Gitcoin solves some of the stuff. I had a meeting with Connor this morning, so hopefully that's going to be resolved later today or early tomorrow. That's one thing. The development pathway. I'm going to open the mic in a second, but seems like it's not finished yet. If not, Bear, feel free to move it to done, or just if it's there, I'll just assign it to the following sprint, and I guess I'll do the same for all the other tasks in not started, which were supposed to be done this sprint, but they were not. Okay, I'll just open it up. Any of the owners of these tasks has any comments? Is there any progress, or are we good?
Yeah, for the development pathway, what I've been thinking, this is something I've been discussing a lot with Gideon, is that we're probably gonna like break it up into different chunks and make it more particular about the coordination team itself and not so much into the DAO level, but more into the few individuals that are part of the team. So I'll probably, maybe yes, if you can move it into the next sprint, and in the meantime I'll try to maybe rearrange the tasks and break it down that way into more concrete tasks, if that makes sense.
Okay, so I just put in parentheses UPD, sort of like update, like needs update. So whenever you have time, just update the description, and that's good. Anyone else? Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, cool. So again, those that are not not started are, I guess we can say, now by default on the backlog and are probably going to be picked up for the next sprint. Cool. Cool. So, and all right, and now we have to we we are going to do the retrospective. Let me give me 1 second to share the link here as well. So same as we did last time, the set of boards that we are going to do are under sprint number 2. We're going to have 10 minutes for praise. We won't do it here on the board. We will do it directly on the praise channel instead. And then we just come here again and jam on a few questions. Remember that the retrospective is about process, about internal stuff for the team, about how the team interacts, about how things were planned or not planned, and not so much about the actual deliverables. But of course, I guess just to make the disclaimer, the praise part is open to anything you want to praise someone for. Yeah. Let me know whenever you guys are ready to jump into the retro.
Hey, Isaac, do you want us to just take one of the stickies from down below?
No, I'm just waiting for all the others to join. I'm only seeing Marathon Mind and you and I. And whenever we see more people, I'll just start the timer. For praise, I think it's best if we do it directly on the praise channel here in Discord, just to avoid, copy pasting.
I see. Thank
you. Yep. But yeah, just wait on the other ones. I see Joseph joined now, and there's just Nate and Barry left. See, Nate just joined, and probably Bear as well. Okay, cool. So it seems like we are ready to start. I'll stop sharing my screen because I'm low on battery anyways. I'll start the timer in just 1 second, and we will have 10 minutes to dish some praise. Let's go.
And I just want to make sure everybody is, educated on how to use the praise channel. If you're not, please do speak up now, and we can walk you through it. if you look up at underneath community, there's a praise channel, and it's simply a backslash and then you at and for a particular reason. But if you need help with it, let us know.
We are almost done. Let me know if you guys want 1 minute more. Okay, so we are done with the praise. Now, I guess I'll just give a very quick explainer again. On the right side of the big praise board, the big green praise board, there's three sections with three questions. We're going to go through each one of them, spend some time um, doing some brainstorm on the question, and right after doing some discussion about the question, and then we move to the next one. We're going to take 12 minutes per question, probably less. I think I'll leave it at 10 minutes per question, and then just about five for any discussion. First question, what's going well? What should we continue doing? Remember again, this is about process. And I'm starting the timer in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Timer's on.
Are we kind of running out of steam on this question?
We can finish it now. Nothing else. This one just down to 5, and if there's no objections, I'll just
You're
we'll
kind
just
of
move
cutting
on.
out, Isaac. Your audio is clipping a little bit.
Is it better now?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. I was just saying that I'll just count down to 5, and if there's if there's no objections, we'll just move on. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So I was going to do 5 minutes for reflections, but if we weren't able to fill the 10, maybe we just do 3 minutes of reflections for this question. Yeah. Anyone feels like taking it first?
I can go. Yeah, I feel like the guy who came back after like the team just played a really hard soccer match, and he's like, "Hey, how'd it go, guys?" And you guys are all like, you just did like a major sprint last month, and like really did a great job in making all that work. And so now we're doing kind of like the cleanup. It's like, okay, now we're gonna like formalize this a little bit more and putting in place like the systems and things to be able to replicate that over and over. And it feels good. Like the stand-ups, that's just such a good, simple thing to do in terms of accountability and just keeping each other up to date on what's going on. That feels really good. I feel like the agile stuff, yeah, we're having some issues like as we learn how to do this and like exactly like meetings or what and stuff, but like there's momentum building, new way of organizing and coordinating ourselves, and that's really great. And it's taking a load off of me and allowing me to shift my focus onto some things that I feel like have been really a bottleneck for us around strategy and partnerships. And I think so. Yeah, I'm feeling good. I don't know. Do you want me maybe just open it up and see who wants to go next? I don't. What do you want to do, Isaac? Do you want everybody to go?
I mean, we have the time for 1 or 2 people more. If so, maybe let's just open it up, and if not, if no one goes, just pick someone.
Yeah, I'll go. I just want to say that I do think the daily stand up is pretty much a game changer. It's such a simple solution, and it helps out a lot in terms of both communication and accountability. And so I think this is a really good practice that we should all get in the habit of doing. I firmly believe like even if it's not a daily thing, it should at minimum be an every other day thing for people. I think this is just something that we should just integrate into our routines. It sets up as like kind of a daily checklist, but also kind of makes it more transparent to see where opportunities are for people to plug in. So that's a really cool thing. Yeah, and I just want to say the comms reports. I agree with this. Have been really great insights into improving our comms practices and understanding exactly what type of communication works and doesn't work, and when to actually send that out. I think that's really cool. And yeah, the Agile framework is a little bit, we're just starting it, and I really think that there's a lot of potential for that, and to kind of slowly start to form into something we can all get used to and own. So yeah, that'll be it.
Cool, that's good. I'm going to ask you, Gideon, or whoever wants to. I'm running out of battery and my charger's not working, so that's a bit of an issue. So if you guys can continue running the timer, that'd be of much help.
I can try. Let me see if I can find the timer. Hold on just a sec. Oh, got it. Okay. But you're still going to be able to stay on. It's just that you want to do that. Are you still going to drive the process though?
I can give a few words about the questions, but I don't think I can open Figma from my phone. So
Okay. Well, do you want me to just take over driving it? You tell me what do you want? What would you like? What's easiest?
Yeah, please, if you think you can drive it, that'd be best. But I can chime in at any point.
Okay. Happy to do it. How much time did you set for doing the post-its?
So it's supposed to be about 10 per question and 5 per discussion, somewhere around that. But if today we don't have that much to chat, then we can take this.
Okay. All right. So let's dive into the next one, the what needs improvement. And again, we're not talking about the end results. We're not talking about the products. We're talking about process. So go ahead and get started. It's the purple post-its, and feel free to get going.
And perhaps for the retrospective part of this, something that we used to do is to have somebody read out loud all of the posts within each section. I do think this is something that is valuable, but I kind of leave it up to you if that's something that you want to do, Isaac.
Say it again, please.
Something that we used to do within the retrospectives is to actually read aloud everything that was written within each of these sections, as just kind of so people aren't just commenting on their own thing, but they're really engaging with what others have put out there. And perhaps that's something we can do if that's up to you.
I'm not sure if that's so useful, but if if you guys want to do it, that's also not a problem.
I would say that either reading it out loud or just giving time for people to like read it themselves. But I think it is definitely worth reading. I'm reading all of it, and it's really interesting.
Yeah, I guess my point is more like, if anyone wants to read it, is going to read it anyways. And we have the discussion time, but maybe I don't know. I don't know. I just wouldn't want to force time to read all this stuff always. But I don't have a strong opinion. Whatever. I don't know.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
go ahead, Bear.
Yeah, just really quickly. Yeah, I also don't have a strong opinion, but I think it would be a nice thing to do. I also remember those retrospectives in the past, and reading them out loud, it was always nice to hear. But yeah, just expressing my opinion.
Okay, why don't we let's just have one person just read through them very quickly and just see how it goes. Let's see how much time it takes. Does anybody want to volunteer to read through it?
Yeah, I can do it real quick. Okay, so with the dissolution of our conviction voting module, the lack of flexibility of TAL voting, and our lack of use of snapshot, it feels like our governance system is lacking application. Perhaps a good thing, but it would be nice to get token holders to stay engaged. It would be good to have some sort of simple way of signaling each other our retrospective workload capacities each week. This will help with load balancing. I believe that as part of our transition to the new Agile framework, we still need to develop a method of prioritization for projects and learning how to swarm around subsets of initiatives. We still have some work to do in terms of matching Agile ceremonies with actual meetings, including who drives which agendas and facilitates which meetings. We still need some improvements and simplification in the way that we cost projects and how that drives compensation. We haven't had a good turnout for AMAs on Twitter Spaces. We need to work on getting more people on board through outreaches and also through continuous activities on Twitter, which will positively impact the Twitter Spaces or AMAs we do. Explaining and laying out criteria and desired outcomes within the task and the sprints. We could improve on our external communications to token holders and potential funding projects. Aligning Agile framework with new meeting schedule. In future, anything that is posted on Twitter related to projects or announcements must be in the content calendar so we can keep track of the types of things we are tweeting out. More clarity on compensation and roles as we move forward. Come up with a better way to be able to cost and compensate people in projects. More clarity on defining what it means to be a coordinator and its corresponding responsibilities and benefits. We still need to figure out the purpose of our Tuesday calls and whether we should continue them. This is part of an overall assessment of the CT weekly meetings load. Define a process to be able to easily off and onboard individuals from roles. Visual representation of coordination between the TEC and TEA. Feels like our TEC handbook is more of a historical document. Much is now out of date at this point. And yeah, so I guess we can start with a round of reflections.
Yeah, I'll set the timer for 3 minutes. Sorry, does anybody want to go?
I can go first. I do think that the big one out of this list is um, the clarity on compensation and roles and how we integrate the costs of these projects, and making sure that we set something in stone to try to figure out, give people some consistency, and making sure that there's they can confidently work and understand what their compensation is going to be for each month, or based on their what projects they're working on. And then also kind of aligning this new framework with our kind of a new schedule. I think that's been a big blocker for us, going to be a big blocker moving forward. So I think aligning our schedule to make sure that we're not wasting time. And yeah, I'll pass it on to somebody else.
Yeah, I can go next with regards to the having better comms. Having better comms on like Twitter and things like that. I definitely do agree. Um, uh, and also with regards to the meetings on Tuesdays and things like that. I think sometimes, or for the last, well, I think mainly because we switched to a new agile framework, and we're currently defining the projects that we're going to be taking under and stuff like that. Um, you know, the Tuesday calls have been a bit, what do we talk about now type thing, or we're waiting for the sprints to kind of start. But I understand that, we're kind of going through a transition, things of that nature. Yeah, and that's it. That's it for me.
Okay, anybody else have anything to say? 5, 4, 3.
Yeah, I also think that this this idea and this work that needs still to get done in terms with compensation, yeah, especially with projects, and how that relates with how we cost, and also how we organize projects themselves. It's something we need to figure out soon. And I also think that bringing some more clarity in terms of roles and responsibilities, having more clear limits and boundaries can be really helpful for everyone, to have more certainty on the type of work that you're doing. So I think those are some things that are important to get better at. And yeah, I don't know if anyone else.
Yeah, I think before the next round of grants funding is being done, within that period we can improve the comms. We saw a lot of activities on comms during that period. Maybe keep going on. I'm not talking about increasing the frequency, but maybe the quality of the post. We get more, we getting more followers, relevant followers, and things like that. So that will definitely positively impact when we go for the comms outreach during that particular time when you do the grants.
Okay. Well, we have hit the timer for this part, so let's move on to the next section, which is the blue notes, and these are basically ideas to try. Again, process ideas, not so much like let's roll out this new service or let's do this. It's more about what do we do with our process ideas on that front. Set the timer for 10 minutes, and let's go. So we've got just like a couple more minutes. Okay, we're wrapping up. We got 8 seconds. Who would like to read through the list? Any volunteer?
I'm gonna nominate Joseph.
Joseph, you up for that?
Yep. First key is maybe a simple number to indicate workload and level of stress that we add once a week. Something to the stand up posts. Something simple and easy. Next, simplify and standardize as much as possible our calendar for the coordination team, and come up with a few calls in a month that are more open to the community. Start thinking about possible community events that the team could host, regular Twitter Spaces and TE podcasts. Find a way to start building peer-to-peer relationships between TEA and TEC teams. Maybe a once a month sync or something community call. Instead of intentions and distractions, let's try creation fun. Share a fun article about anything TE. Helps the curation service, and it will be great fun to share different things that we're thinking about. Keep trying out different compensation models. A marketing strategy for comms in line with projects within the sprint. Make the Tuesday calls bi-weekly. Keep up with keep going with Twitter Spaces. One of the biggest benefits of these spaces is visibility. We should start running a document on potential interviews and panels. Start a library of reusable TEC marketing copy. Stating and having a point of contact for anything TEA related. Adding more music to the team's playlist. Look for some simple ways to start using OS badge to recognize accomplishments in the TEC. Stakeholder study can be our first test. And finally, start using the great partnership list that Joseph has been working on, and using it to improve our Twitter strategy.
Okay, thanks, Joseph. All right, so let's open it up. Would anybody like to give their thoughts on this? Any reflections?
Yeah, I think I can go. But with regards to anything like comms related stuff. I know like the last couple of weeks has been quite bare in terms of like what we've been kind of like tweeting and stuff. I think for me, I've been for me, I was just waiting to see what we would have in regards to projects and based our content off of that. I can definitely come up with articles that I come across and read with regards to what I have on what I read on Medium, create a summary and then ask like open-ended questions, and also have polls about what I've read and things like that to bring engagement, and or even create memes based on anything token engineering related. And then also I agree with I definitely agree with the TEA and TEC like once a month meeting call, because I still feel, even though we're moving into one entity, I still feel that we're kind of separate, because the only person that I would know, or even regular, let's say, communication with on the TEA side of things, or that I think is on the TEA side of things, is probably Tam. Other than that, I haven't really been interacted with anyone from the TEA to even collaborate with anything comms or anything like that. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah, I think the TEC thing is something that we could definitely bring into the next sprint, if you will. Just having some type of meeting or event, or just something fun, even to kind of start building closer relationships with the group that is kind of spearheading the administrative aspects of the TE Academy. Get familiar with everybody there and kind of get their insights and see how we can help out. I think that's a really good thing that we could do. I also like the idea of having more Twitter Spaces. I really do think that it's very positive for just external perception of the token engineering commons, to stay engaged with the community, to be this kind of reliable place that we can go to learn about token engineering or keep up to date with what's happening in token engineering. So I think that's really cool. And then, yeah, I like the badges idea too, to start using OS badges and just everybody getting more familiar with the use of badges to make it kind of normalized to the fact that we can say, hey, this person is doing whatever, and we can just send it from, or even coming up with a system that allows it to be recognized by other groups. Yeah, so I think these are all really cool ideas. And I'll leave it there.
Anyone else? I think one thing that I would say is process about process, like these ideas to try. One of the things that I think often happens is kinds of things, these ideas, like we need ways to harvest this kind of stuff and process it somehow. Otherwise, it's just like it's a record. Did this, and I think the thing that was great is using meeting to drive praise, because that actually moves things. So it would be good to just think about maybe Bear. I don't know if you can think a little bit. Maybe Bear and Isaac, the two of you, can think a little about this retrospective process, how we use it to harvest items for our backlist. I think that'd be really good. Otherwise, we're just doing stuff and it feels good at the time, but like it doesn't turn in. So the challenge will, of course, be how do we? There's a lot of ideating here, and not all ideas are going to make it in terms of priorities. But yeah, I don't know. Bear and Isaac, is this something that would you be able and willing to take a look at that as next steps?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if probably Isaac knows this better, but if there's maybe any steps according to the Agile framework in order to incorporate these ideas, and maybe that's something that's already available and defined. So maybe we can look into that, and if not, maybe just coming up with document where we can list all of these ideas and just refer to it whenever we need to add some more items to the backlog. I think that'd be something cool to have.
Okay. I shared, in terms of like calls to action, I shared the link to add music to our shared playlist on the TEC Coordination Orchestra playlist. So you'll see that in the chat. Free to jump on that and add. And let me know if you have trouble adding tracks to this. I think somebody in the past had some problems with it. Okay, so I think we'll stop here. Any last words anybody would like to add before we close up today? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Well, nice job, everybody. I really like this ceremony too. Really good process and good practice. Thank you, Isaac, reintroducing this and changing it up. And I guess we will see you all next week. Have a good day tomorrow and have a good weekend. See you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.